Hello, everyone. This is Coach Oliver once again. We are here in round number 5 of the FIDE Grand Prix 2022. This time, a very nice day for us. Yeah. Finally, Wesley won a game in Berlin, and it was very crucial. So important. Winning against Lagrave. Now he's tied for the lead with Shankland going into the last round tomorrow. Right, Wesley, come on. He finally showed his prowess in this tournament. This is the Wesley that we have been waiting. The real Wesley came alive. Right, Lagrave went for d4. I was expecting actually e4 here and probably a Berlin in Berlin. But maybe because of the tournament situation, Lagrave wants to spring up a surprise by playing d4. Yeah. Lagrave most of the time plays e4 because he's white and he just wants to surprise Wesley. But Wesley also has other plans. Okay, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3. We have the Nimzo Indian. Okay, f3 for white, similar to the Samish. Yep. c5. Okay, d5, b5. This structure with e6, c5, b5 is quite related to the Blumenfield gambit. Yeah. All right, the main point of b5 is that if, for example, white captures on b5, then black gets that central square with a knight in d5. Right. Just taking away the defender of the d5 square here. And if you capture on e6 here, f takes e6, c takes b5, black gets the middle. Yeah. Threatening d4. Comfortable position for black. Okay, here Lagrave went for e4. This is typical. The bishop on f1 protects the c4 pawn. e4 protects d5. Wesley went for d6. Okay. Knight ge2 takes on c4. Knight into f4. e5. Lagrave provoked the pawn to push e5 back to e2. We are expecting f4 later in the game with this type of structure to breaking e5. So knight b d7, g4, okay, h5, nice move by Wesley. Knight into g3, g6. If Wesley, for example, plays knight b6 to protect the c4 pawn, white should go g5 here, knight h7, and then h4. And Wesley doesn't like his knight to be on h7, because if you try to go knight f8 and knight g6, white has some a4, you go a5 and then knight f5. The knight is not going to g6 because the knight is attacking g7 now. If you take on f5, just he takes f5. This should favor white, although this position is quite complex. A lot of imbalances. All right, so g6 was played by Wesley. Lagrave went for bishop takes, maybe not the best in the position. This is important, I guess. h4, you're looking at the game. Okay, just looking at the game, we played bishop takes c4, takes on c3, takes queen a5, queen to d3, knight b6, bishop b5, bishop e7, takes, g5. Wesley has this h4, right? So if we look back into that critical moment there, right, I think Lagrave might have regretted capturing on c4, because anytime you can capture c4, right, h4 was, I think, important to stop the pawn from pushing on h4, because that was the critical moment in the game, when Wesley played h4, he was better, I guess. That was a turning point, yeah, that h4 move. Now, for example, here, if black protects b6, Lagrave has bishop g5, so Wesley couldn't do that, yeah? If Wesley takes on c3, takes queen a5, for example, taking on c3, this is bishop d2. Right, you move away from that pin on g5. Okay, only then you go knight b6, but now g5, yes. And then where is this knight going? Is it going here at a7, but no space? Okay, let's go knight d7 and then a4. Still unclear. Yeah, still unclear, but white has enough space. Yeah? And it's not safe for black also to castle here on the king side, because white can probably go f4 later on, and some knight takes h5 ideas. Yeah. Maybe h4 for Lagrave here, but we'll never know. Okay, g6 takes in c4, takes in c3, queen a5, queen to d3. Nice move by Wesley, knight into b6, bishop b5 check, bishop b7, takes and takes, g5, and here's the turning point, h4. Very good move. Very nice counterplay, intermediate move on h4 is also attack with knight at g3. Yeah, counter attack. Knight has to go back to e2. Of course, you cannot capture an f6. Yes, it's going to be a pin on the rook to the h1 rook, and that's winning for black. After knight e2, now Wesley has this knight h5. Compared to play with the pawn on h5, the knight just go back to h7 and f8. No scope because the pawn is on d5. You're going to go knight e6. Yeah. So that h4 move was critical. So castles here, rook b8. Okay, a bit rush for Lagrave. He needs to play c4. He needs to play, but it's just Wesley today was just so good. Yeah, he was just so good. He found this important queen a4 move. What a move by Wesley. A pretty good move, yeah. All right, now it will be too late if white plays c4 now. Wesley will take on f4. You go knight takes on f4, knight e5. You're hitting the queen and the c4 pawn. Queen a4 was just so nice, right? It's actually controlling c4 and hitting d1 later in the game. And also, of course, the fourth. Yeah, so Lagrave played f5, but black's king is safe. Takes on f5. Rook takes f5. You cannot capture with a pawn here. This queen g4 check. That was the point of queen a4 shifting to the king side. Yeah. If you go king h1, this amazing knight g3 comes into the game. Yeah. If you take that one, h takes g3, mate should be coming up. Should be mate. Okay, let's say go king g1. I can sacrifice my rook on h1. Let's just show it. Takes queen h3, queen h2 mate. So queen a4. Top level chess. Top level chess by Wesley. Rook takes f5 and now c4. Right. c4 strong move. If you cannot get inside here, take the d1 square. Right. If okay, in the game, Lagrave went for queen e3. Let's say he stops queen d1, queen d2, for example. The main point here is knight c5, hitting e4. Oh, plenty of threats. You cannot go back to g3. The pawn is there, right? Wesley in his element. What did he eat today that he has never eaten the last 4 rounds? Yeah. What's with round 5? Queen e3, right? Queen d1, the infiltration on the first. Here, black is already winning. White is now the one defending. Okay, after that one, queen d3. Look at the c4 pawn. Queen a4, c4, the maneuver. You cannot take, yes. If you take the queen, the knight is trapped, by the way. Pawn and pawn. Look at the pawn's powerful pawns. Restricting the knight. Lagrave had to play queen f2. Okay, let's take a look at the position here. White is attacking f7, but Wesley just ignored. Capture an e4, because it's a very important principle here that when the knight is beside your king is safe. Yeah. After queen takes f7 is king d8. The knight protects the king. The knight also protects the surrounding squares in front of the king. That's why the knight is a better defender in front of the king, because it's also attacking squares. Yeah. So no queen f6 here. Nothing. Yeah. The knight on d7 holds everything. After queen f3 back, okay, let's go to the end game. Bad knight. No knight f4, no knight d4. Where is the knight going? That knight on e2 has nowhere to go. Rook takes f3, rook b5. How to protect the pawn. After taking the d5 pawn, central pawns will just go all the way. Bishop e3 takes. Okay, rook to b1, rook a5. If white decides to capture a7, that's rook g8, yeah, attacking this pawn. You have to go back. Bishop e3, and Wesley can use this knight. All right, he can move back because of the pin. If the king, let's say, goes to f1, all right, knight g4, attacking the bishop, and hitting g5. And this pawn will be very slow, because white's king is not safe. You have to go bishop g1, here rook to g5. Let's say you play a4, a5, but no, this rook d3. Right? Unfortunately for the rook has no square, no f4, no f5, no f6. Maybe f7 is the only way. If you go rook to f7 here, the rook will be trapped with king e8, right? Okay, a5, rook f3, let's say king to e1, rook f5. Threatening rook f1 to the rook, to the pawn. It's bye-bye. Yeah. Wesley. Wow, amazing. Okay, so Lagrave had to play rook to b1. Rook a5 attacking a2, defending a7. Rook to b7, no problem. King e7. Rook takes a7, no problem. Takes. Rook a1. I can gain back the pawn. Again, problematic piece. No square to jump. Yeah. Nice h4. That h4. Nice e5. Knight on e2. What is it doing? The knight on e2 is like a spectator. Yeah, just watching, just waiting for the game to finish. Rook takes a2. King f1. Knight f8, taking away g6, not allowing any counterplay with takes and g6. Knight g6, so king e6 before pushing the pawns. Rook a1 check, and then knight f4. It was also possible to play knight f4 straight away for Wesley. Takes with the knight, and he would take the pawn instead of the knight. If the opponent plays this move, rook a1 check, right? You go what king f2 maybe? It's king f5. You push on a5. The rook is dead. Yeah. Okay, there's rook h3. Rook a2, king f1, for example, king e4. The knight is stopping the pawns. So the knight is stopping the pawn. The rook can also just move it back if you play g6 after take. So bishop b6, rook a1 check. Okay, takes. Rook h3, king f5, activate king, attacking g5, the more advanced pawn. If the bishop protects from d8, the knight just goes to e5, king protects g6, king cannot go f3, rook can go a2. Yeah. So rook h7. Knight e5, no rook f7, h4. Okay, let's do that king d4. Everything is under control. g6. Okay, take it first. d7, back to f5. Hit and run. h5, back to e5. h6, rook h1, rook from behind. The Tauresh rule. Rook behind the pass pawn. h7, king f6. Rook goes to a7, king g6. Taking care of the opponent's pass pawn first. No counterplay. King g2, let's take it. Takes. Knight and 3 pawns for bishop and pawn. That's more than enough. Bishop goes to c7, no problem. King to g6. Takes on d6, king f5. Bishop to c5, king e4, the activity. Bishop d4, knight g4. The king f1, king to d3. White resigned. Okay, let's take a look at, let's say king g2. King e2, right? f3, f2, finish. And if you move the bishop, okay, whatever, g7 or h8, pawn will push f3. You go back, let's say, you go back to d4, push that pawn on f2. Take it. Okay, you go back, you cannot take, of course, this takes, and takes, right? King e2, this king b2, push, promotion. Okay, after bishop to g7 here, for example, king goes to e3. Yes. Now it's threatening knight h2. We'll go back to 4 king f3. It's either mate here or e3. You have to give up your bishop. Knight extra piece, knight e4 is too much. What a game by Wesley. This is the moment that we have been waiting for since day one. And finally, Wesley got his first win. And with that win, he ties for the lead with Shankland. I'll win tomorrow, but Wesley might seal the deal here. He might qualify for the semifinals. So this is also a good momentum for Wesley for tomorrow's game. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting our channel, Charles Max Chess and Charles Max Entertainment. We will continue our coverage of the FIDE Grand Prix 2022 in Berlin tomorrow. This is Coach Oliver. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.